FutureSkills Prime, transforming India's talent story.
It is impossible to know what the future holds for us, but learning from the past and adapting in the present is sure to help you stay ready and relevant in the future. As for the advancements of today,
Prime,
ranging from
transforming
artificial intelligence,
India's talent
cloud computing, and big data analytics to cybersecurity, learning, robotic process automation, and Internet of Things. All of these are shaping up to be future of industries, a future that requires skills. This is where FutureSkills of NASSCOM comes into play. FutureSkills is an industry-driven learning ecosystem that aims at transforming the nation to be future-ready with all the required skills and attributes. The platform was launched in 2018 by the Honorable Prime Minister. It was created to help the IT industry reskill its workforce. But it was quickly very clear that with every industry going through digital transformation, these skills would be crucial for them too. This is how FutureSkills Prime was born, a digital skilling platform for all Indian citizens over the age of 18.
FutureSkills Prime equips the Indian citizens with emerging technologies to help them remain relevant for the future. With learner-friendly features, the platform is catered to propel your professional growth. It brings together industry experts to ensure that you learn from the best. Meticulously curated content to facilitate easy learning. And the transition from digital fluency to certification is extremely smooth. A wide gamut of courses offered so that you get to choose what works the best for you.
FutureSkills Prime have transformed the way nation upskills. Building a skilling ecosystem to this scale with this level of adoption is a massive achievement in itself. And as the future gets a step closer to a fully digital one, preparing for it with relevant skills is the right step for employees across the nation. With affordability and credibility as its core values, we strive to build India's digital talent stack. And we plan on delivering on this promise by integrating innovative approaches and deep expertise to deliver tangible and sustainable results, preparing the nation today for tomorrow.
With over 4 lakh sign-ups already, our journey at FutureSkills Prime has been one of constant growth. Now it's your turn to be a part. Download the FutureSkills Prime app now to scale new professional heights.
You're on mute.
Hi. I'm so sorry about that. Hello, and a very good afternoon, everybody. On the behalf of FutureSkills Prime, I welcome you all to today's session on cybersecurity proofing and its relevance today. FutureSkills Prime is a national digital skilling platform for emerging technologies. And because pictures say 1,000 words and the videos even more, our brief update on it would have given you all the information you needed. Without further ado, let me now introduce the speaker for today's session, Ms. Lavanya, Senior Manager, AI, DS, and CAD SME Services, who specialized in AI, DS, and cloud applications development from SkillUp Technologies. Cybersecurity is one of the fastest growing career options, as well as one of the most dynamic. But I will not throw any more statistics towards you and ask Lavanya to take over. Over to you, Lavanya.
Thank you so much, Anushree. Thank you so much, Amrita. Sorry. let me just share my screen. Let me know if you can look at it.
Yes, and Lavanya, all good. Please go ahead.
A very warm welcome to all of you for this session on cybercrime proofing and its relevance in today's market. We'll look at the vulnerabilities and the solutions and look at how you can contribute towards a better cyberproof society in tomorrow's world. The agenda for today, we'll look at what is cyber, the vulnerabilities in the cyberspace, the cyber threats and the attacks, what is cybersecurity, how to prepare to handle such cyber attacks and what are the cyber attacks, why is learning cybersecurity imperative in today's world. What is cyber? A lot of people think cyber is just to do with computers, but cyber is a prefix that we use for any electronic device to do with computing, processing, networking, storage, which includes your desktops, your laptops, your phones, your smartwatches, your smart TVs, your smart refrigerators, any smart device for that matter, any IoT device. All of these devices are contained in the cyberspace. So when you're talking about any of these devices, you are talking about a device which is in the cyberspace. So what is then cyber attack? It is an attack to completely destroy, disrupt, disable, or take complete control of information in any of these devices that we just listed. So you would have heard that my phone is, behaving very strangely. What has happened? There could be possibly a cyber attack that's happened on your phone. So all the devices that we listed in the cyberspace are prone to cyber attacks. Okay, so in that case, what is cyber crime? Using any of these devices that we just listed to do a crime is cybercrime, or to do a crime on any of these devices, taking complete control of the device or control of the data contained in these devices, or the way the device is processed. All of these are a part of cyber crime. So we have cyber attack, we have cyber crimes. So what do we need to combat it? We need what is called cybersecurity. So cybersecurity is nothing but using technology, processes, and controls to completely secure the devices from the cyber attacks and cyber threats. Let's take a look at vulnerabilities now. So to define vulnerability, the simplest way, it's any security flaw in your system which the cyber attackers can exploit. I'm going to pause for a minute here. If you all can type into the chat window, can you name a vulnerability on your phones? All of us use smartphones these days. So can you name a vulnerability on your phone? I'll just wait for a few answers and then we'll move on to the next slide. Okay, let's see the answers. Alexa, Siri, hanging, social media, phishing, camera, phishing attacks, SMS phishing, banking apps. Yeah, I think you all pretty much got it. So see, while your camera can be protected because you can give permissions to which applications you expose your camera. Think about SMS. Someone said SMS phishing. That's perfectly on the dot because you cannot block the source of SMS. I mean, at least the first time you definitely cannot block it. Once you receive, you can block a number, but the first time when you receive, you cannot block it. So your phone is vulnerable. You get emails on your phone, so your phone is vulnerable. So these are vulnerabilities which the cyber attackers are completely aware of and they can exploit it. So just like how, we are all aware of these vulnerabilities, there are a lot of software out there in the dark web to completely exploit these vulnerabilities and take a control of the devices. So while all of these are available for the cybersecurity specialists to, kind of develop a solution and protect, it is also available out there in the dark web for the attackers to attack. That's the flip side of it. So let's look at what are the general classification of the vulnerabilities. You have network vulnerabilities, which result from insecure operating systems or network architecture. This includes flaws in your servers, your hosts, your Wi-Fi router, network access, your firewalls, and all of this. I'm going to conduct a poll now. Amrita, I'll need your help for this. Can you guys answer on this poll, please? Amrita, can you put up the first question? Do you use a Wi-Fi to connect to the internet? You can give them 30 seconds and then close the poll. Thanks. Okay, can you tell me the answers for the poll? Okay, 91% said yes and 9% said no. It's interesting, though, 9% who said no, I'm wondering how you connect to the internet, but yeah, well. So the ones who said you connect to the internet using a Wi-Fi, do you know what kind of a security your router offers? Amrita, the next poll question, please. Does it not offer anything, or does it offer a WPA, which is Wi-Fi protected access? So WPA stands for Wi-Fi protected access. Does it give a WPA or WPA2 or none? I mean, none that you know of. Okay, that's fantastic. At least 64% of you have said WPA2, which is awesome. 10% have said no, which means you're perhaps connecting to a public Wi-Fi system. And 22% said WPA. So it is extremely important when you're connecting to any networks outside, when you're connecting to a Wi-Fi router, you should know the kind of connection that you've made. It could be, a public access network where there is no Wi-Fi. In such a case, you have to be careful about using passwords, because your passwords can easily be snooped in such networks. Or if, say you go to a hotel, you get a shared connection, you have a wireless device, you get a password, but so many of you are connected to the same one. So if that's a WPA connectivity, anybody who's connected to the same network can snoop into your details. What happens in a WPA2 is all of the information that's transmitted through that router is encrypted, so nobody can snoop into it. So the best router to have, router security for home, is WPA2. And of course, for businesses, you have WPA industry, WPA3, and all that. So that is extremely important. So our biggest endeavor here should be to reduce the vulnerability of the systems that we are using. And the next one is hardware vulnerabilities. You may see that, a lot of times an update keeps coming up for your specific hardware. All of these actually makes a lot of difference, because there could be a patch for some security incident that has happened. So when you keep running your processors, like think about processors that we all hear all the time, Intel and AMD, which are supposed to be like world top-notch processors, they have issues, which means that this affected desktops, laptops, phones, servers, and everything. All of these were vulnerable at some point of time. And if you keep working without doing the patch when it's there, there's a great chance that your sensitive information is leaked. In fact, you may want to kind of Google after some time about Meltdown and Spectre, which exploit any information which are at any point of time processing through your processors. So any sensitive information that you are doing on your computer, which has got these processors without a patch, are leaked. And then we have software vulnerabilities. I think everybody is aware of this. Whenever you download a software, you'll have to ensure that it is from a genuine source. And you have to know what is accompanying such a software download. So make sure that you download the software from a genuine source. Make sure that it is not downloading anything additional to what you're actually intending to download. When you're using any thumb drive or any external devices, ensure that you're only taking that software and making a copy, and there's no other things on that device, scan that device before you copy any software. All of these are extremely, again, important. And if you don't do it, you could be subjected to anything from a very small spyware attack to an extremely, sensitive ransomware attack. So you need to be very careful, and you have to be aware of software vulnerabilities. And then finally, you have the 0-day vulnerabilities. What happens if you know that you have downloaded something which is from a very genuine provider? Let's take the case of Zoom. I mean, the platform that we are using right now for this webinar. If in the beginning of last year, when we were all the entire world was reeling from the pandemic, and we all moved to working from home and studying from home, Zoom had this attack. And why 0-day attack? Because Zoom did not have enough. Zoom was from a very genuine software provider, but somehow the attackers found a vulnerability and they exploited it. So what they did was they could take control of any one particular user who's using a particular operating system of Windows, particular version of Windows operating system, and take complete control of their machine. And if they were administrator, if they had administrative rights on that particular machine, that's it. They take complete control, delete the data, perhaps install some ransomware, spyware, whatever. So such a thing happened with Zoom. This was just in the beginning of last year when the pandemic started. And Zoom, all that it had was 0 days. 0 days, there's no time to react, because they know that their system has got this vulnerability. They have been exploited, and all of the people world over who are using Zoom were affected in it. So they had 0 days for them to fix. This is called a 0-day vulnerability. And the kind of loss which Zoom made to address this is $85 million. That's how much it took. And of course, after that, they brought in a lot of security and all of those aspects. But this can happen to any vendor, right from the most sophisticated one to anybody. If the attackers find a vulnerability, they exploit it. They have 0 days to address that issue. And every day that they don't address the issue, they're making a loss there. So what are the different kinds of cyber threats and attacks? Let's look at it. So cyber attack, like I said, is a malicious and deliberate attempt on an individual or an organization for breach of their information system. So what kind of attacks are there? We have the backdoor, which allows remote access. Just give me a second, please. Which basically gives remote access to your machine. So there is a system that is kind of taking control of your machine from the without even your knowledge. There is a backdoor entry. So there is some intruder in your machine who's perhaps snooping into your data, snooping into sensitive information, and you don't know what they're doing. So that is backdoor attack. And then we have form jacking. Form jacking is where, we all use e-commerce websites, especially, again, in the last 1.5 years, I think most of our shopping has happened online. And when we do such online shopping, we are trying to give our credit card details, our validity, our CVV, and all that. So all that they do is insert a small JavaScript in such forms to steal your credit card information and such sensitive details. So that's called form jacking. That is another form of cyber threat. And then you have crypto jacking. I don't know how many of you know about BitTorrent. So the way crypto jacking works is for crypto mining, for you to mine crypto coins, you need a lot of processing power. And typically, an individual computer is not enough for the processing speed that you require for crypto mining. So what they do is they hack into the processor of multiple machines and use all of those processors put together. And you may not even know that you've been subjected to this attack for a long time, because it uses only a part of your processing speed. So you would know this if you know about BitTorrent. So this BitTorrent works in a very similar fashion. So BitTorrent uses your computer as a server for people around that region. So your computer storage is being used, your computer's processing power is being used. So this works in a very similar fashion. It's just that you may not even know that you've been subjected to that. That's cryptojacking. And then we have the DDoS attack. So if you remember an occasion where you went to a website and it said, the server is down, or it's not able to serve you at this moment, but you're very, very sure that it is a genuine link. So what is actually happening is a distributed denial of service. So what they do is the attackers, they try and create simulate multiple access to this particular server. So let's take any bank server. Okay, so typically bank transactions. In fact, they are still investigating this, but ICICI Bank might have had an attack of this sort in the last week. If you see, most of the UPI payments kept getting declined because there was too much of demand on the server. So the server is only meant to take so much of client, address so many clients in a given point of time. But what happens if there is a sudden surge? If my server is built to handle, say, 1 million customers, but I suddenly have 1 billion, what am I to do? The server just crashes, right? So they do that kind of, they create botnets which will basically mimic calls as if a genuine client call is happening. So for them to identify such an attack, it could genuinely be a case where there is a sudden surge, but definitely not from 1 million to 1 billion. So when such surges happen, the server crashes and it is not available to serve any genuine request. That's called a DDoS attack. And then we have the DNS poisoning attack. So in this case, what happens is, okay, again, let me take the case of a bank itself. I go to a bank's website. I know this is the website for the bank and I go there, but they poison the DNS. So each of these addresses, if I say www.somebank.com, that's mapped onto an IP address. In the case of DNS poisoning, this address is changed in a particular host. So it actually goes to another website, which to me looks identical. So I, as a consumer, unless I very clearly notice and keenly notice, I may not even know that I've gone into the wrong site. So every time you make such transactions, you have to ensure that on the browser page, you see HTTPS, and it is genuinely that browser's website that you're entering into, because they completely spoof it. It looks identical. So you end up, as a consumer, you are at a loss here. So the DNS of the company which is being attacked is not, which is being poisoned, is not vulnerable. I mean, they don't face any loss, but as a consumer, you might face loss because you might give away details in a wrong website and all of your details are gone. So that is a DNS poisoning attack. And then, of course, we have all our malwares. It's a blanket term used to describe any and all the files, programs intended to harm or disrupt your computer. So like I mentioned, botnet, they create a small bot which operates in your computer, uses your computer's processor, and you may not even know. So botnets are, in fact, one of the malwares which you don't realize for a long time that it's happened to your machine. So you may suddenly see that your system is slowing down. You wouldn't have any idea why. And it could be, for all you know, a botnet software has been installed and someone is using your computer storage and processing power and even installing some malicious software in that. And then you have a ransomware attack where they attack and they completely encrypt all of the data in your computer. So I was talking about the backdoor entry in the first one. So some computer, some remote computer gets a backdoor entry and encrypts all of your data. And they say, if you do not pay us so much, we're not going to do it. And all of these transactions mostly happen in cryptocurrency. So you have no idea who's calling from where, and you have no idea to manage such a situation. So that is a ransomware attack. And then you have spyware, where they install a spy in your machine with which they can snoop into all of the details, all sensitive details, or your passwords, your account numbers and stuff like that. And this kind of stays, and they kind of, the spyware collects all of the information and keeps sending it to a remote computer. And you may not even know because you're genuinely not suspecting that anything is wrong. And the spywares use such low processing speed that you may not even realize that they are running on your machine. And then you have Trojan. A Trojan is, again, it's been around for the longest time. It's a type of malware which disguises itself. It looks like a legitimate software, but it does malicious activity. Again, you see a lot of Trojans on Android phones. You have, you clean up your machine. This particular software is using more space than required, more processing speed than required. So clean up your machine and stuff like that. And if you are naive, you tend to run it, and you never know, it'll install some spyware or ransomware, and that's it. Your system is compromised. And then you have rats, which is remote access Trojans. So it is Trojan, but it is a remote access one. So the remote computer completely takes administrative control of your computer or your desktop or your phone. Or think about it. I mean, if they take complete control of your TV and your TV channels keep changing while you're watching it, that is also possible. So, and then what we all know, the viruses and the worms in a computer. So the way viruses spread is they attach themselves to other files. So if I have a virus in my machine and I send out a mail to you, it attaches itself to the mail and it comes. But worms are not like that. As long as I connect to any remote computer, it keeps multiplying and it kind of spreads all over the system. So if it's on my machine, it spreads all over my machine, and it gets transmitted to your machine because my machine is connected to yours. Your machine is also infested. So all of these are cyber threats or cyber attacks that we all should be aware of, especially given that now, like right from a kindergarten child to everybody's doing online school and using devices and everything. Everybody should have at least a little bit of knowledge, and more importantly, so people who are working from home, because all of your companies, your organization information are going to be accessed from your computer, which you use at home. So you'll have to be ensuring that you're using the right kind of security in your computer, in your routers at home, in your networking at home. Otherwise, all of the sensitive information could be leaked. So why now? Why is so much of cyber attacks and cyber threats and cybersecurity? Why are we talking so much about it now? The average number of connected devices in the US in just 2020 were 10 devices per household. And I'm sure a lot of you will relate to this. Most of us have got, each of us have got at least one laptop and one phone with each of us. And, there are 4 members in the family. That is like 8 devices at the least I'm talking about. So we have too many smart IoT devices, and attacks on them have increased manifold. Every minute, okay, this is every minute, $17,700. This is, of course, a global figure. All over the world, about $17,700 is lost just to the phishing attacks. 77% of the organizations do not have a cybersecurity incident response plan. So if there is an organization, I mean, most of the IT companies, at least have an idea about it, but think about the non-IT companies. They have no idea. They do not have a. So if there is an attack, they don't know what next to do. They like, should we shut down the company? Should we shut down the servers? What are we going to do? I mean, what data is compromised? They have no clue. So there is no response plan that they have. 40% of the IT leaders say cybersecurity jobs are the most difficult to fill, because everybody is kind of going after other jobs that cybersecurity itself as a domain is not something that's sought after yet. And that is why it is the best career at this point of time to consider. Okay, why cybersecurity is the need of the hour? Like I said, cybersecurity is applying technology, controls, and processes to protect your systems, programs, network, data, device, and everything. Anything that we spoke about in the cyberspace, if you need to protect them, you need cybersecurity for that. So the number of cybersecurity breaches, like I mentioned, are increasing. We'll look at some of the statistics in a short while from now. The cost of the breaches and their remedies. So earlier, when there is a virus, all that you have to do is install an antivirus software. It'll do a cleanup. At the max, you just reboot and restore your system, and that's it. It's all gone. But now, with each of us have got so much of data, so much of sensitive data, and each time there is a breach, the cost of such a remedy is increasing manifold. It's like, nobody's talking about kidnapping and stuff now. They're like, forget all that. The new in thing is cybercrime. Let's do that. The attacks are now very, very sophisticated. The cyber attackers, in fact, use artificial intelligence to attack. So there is no way that you can kind of reach out to them. So think about it. There's a person sitting in Fiji Islands and making a cyber attack on the military system of the US. So what laws are they going to be tried according to? And could they even isolate the problem to be originating from Fiji Islands? So there are a lot of things that's going on here. So it is better that, the system is kept secure rather than, being vulnerable. So you're much better off in protecting it than, facing the consequences of the attacks. Cybercrime, like I said, is a very big business now. And that is why cybersecurity is the need of the hour. This is a report from IBM. So this is IBM data breach report. And look at the statistics for 2021. I'm not too sure how big it is on the screen, but yeah. So to identify a data breach, it takes about 212 days. And God knows what would have happened and how much of data would have been stolen in that 212 days and what would have been done with that data in that 212 days. But to identify on an average globally, it takes about 212 days. And to contain it and address it, it takes about 75 days. So in all, it's about 287 days. And you can see how it has been steadily increasing over the years. And again, this is because, the amount of data that's being stored has increased manifolds thanks to all of the IoT devices. And the more the data is, the more the data we lose. And when there is such a breach, you don't even know. So unless it's a breach, which is humongous and which is kind of talked about, which goes viral, nobody even knows it. You and I might have a virus on our machine, and there could be a spyware, and we may not even know it if it's not kind of disturbing my day-to-day routine. It will eventually come like a champagne. It will all come out one day and completely sweep the system. But until then, we have no idea. The average cost per record type of data compromised. So we're all consumers, right? We're all consumers on e-commerce websites. We all use social media. We use Twitter, we use Facebook, we use Instagram, we use WhatsApp, and we think, oh, wow, fantastic. All of these companies, all of this is available for free. But my friend, you are the data here. You are the data that's being sold, and per consumer, per customer, the rate that they pay is $180. And this is a global average that I'm talking about. So every data at a given point of time is worth $180 per person. And of course, as we are more connected, as we start using more smart devices, the amount of data that's available about us is also increasing. In fact, the biggest breach, according to the same report, was healthcare data. So the hospitals and healthcare system data was the biggest ransomware that they had to pay, because the entire healthcare record of people were completely compromised. And you never know. All of these are being used for some bio warfare. So the cost of cybercrime is about $4.62 million. And this only includes the cost of escalation. This does not include the ransomware that that we were speaking about earlier. This does not include the pay that might have been paid to the cyber attackers or the cyber criminals, as you may call them. This only includes the cost of escalation, the notification. Of course, like Zoom had to notify all of its consumers as that such a data breach has happened. So all of this costs the company a lot, loss of business costs. So just that cost was $4.62 million on an average. And having moved, now that most companies are moving from on-premise system to cloud system. So the ones which moved to cloud system, which was public cloud, lost more data than the ones which are in hybrid cloud. So it is always good to kind of, assess the situation and choose the right kind of cloud for your company. You may want to choose which data should be on-premise, which data should be on a public cloud, which data should be on a private cloud. All of these should be worked out, and all of these have to be done, of course, with in the presence of a cybersecurity specialist, in the presence of a data specialist, in the presence of an architect. All of this have to be designed extremely well. Otherwise, of course, you can look at the loss figure. For hybrid system, it was 3.61, which was still $1.1 million less than what it was for the public cloud breaches. So what is an ideal cybersecurity framework? We've spoken so much about cyber attacks. We've spoken about cyber threats and why cybersecurity is required. So how do we address this now? This is not rocket science. This is a very, very simple process. We first identify that an attack has happened. That is the baseline. When there is an attack, we should know that there is an attack. Otherwise, what are we going to solve here? And then protect the resources. So there is an attack and some resources have been compromised. So what do we do immediately to arrest that problem? Or stop it from further expanding. So what exactly can we do? How do we protect the resource? Should we just change all the passwords? Should we just encrypt everything? So that is the next step. You figure out how to address it immediately to stop it from further spreading, and then detect the source of the attack. Like I said, it could be through the network, it could be through the hardware, it could be through the software, or some known vulnerability which one of the attackers has exploited. So find out how exactly did this attack come. It could be someone internal, it could be someone external, it could be someone who hacked the cloud, and one thing led to another, and all of your organization's data was compromised. So detect the source of such an attack, respond to the attack, and then you respond. So what are we going to do? Okay, there is a ransomware attack that has happened. All of the data is encrypted. We do not have access to all of the sensitive data which we've collected over 10 years. So how do we do it? So are we going to pay, or are we going to talk to the insurance company and see how to deal with it? Are we going to report this incident? And how exactly are we going to combat the situation? And then recover from the attack. Like how Zoom did. Zoom came up with a new, completely secure version of the application, the call application, the conference application. And now we know, all of these things and they were pretty open book about it. So they listed, these were the flaws, these are the operating system which had issues with it, these are the patches that are available, and these are the security measures we've taken. So recover from the attack. And now again, Zoom is one of the most sought after platform for such calls. So this is the same picture. This is the framework that is recommended by the US National Institute of Standards and Technology. So this is a framework. Of course, you have a lot of cybersecurity frameworks. Each one has their own idea of what should be the process. But this is one of the most commonly used, and this is one of the top frameworks that's being used for cybersecurity. So how to prepare? Okay, now we know, cybersecurity can happen. So how to prepare for it? We know COVID happened. How did we prepare for it? The first time we had no idea. The next time we all knew, okay, we were all wearing, we were all socially distancing. We were all wearing masks. We were all sanitizing our hands. So we were prepared for it the second time. But still the second wave happened because, like I said, attacks can happen. You don't know how it happens. But at least, you have the satisfaction that I was a lot more prepared than the first time. I got into trouble because I did not follow some precautions. So every organization and individual should be aware of cyber threats and vulnerabilities. So like I said, right from kindergarten until, anybody and everybody working from home, all of us are now in the cyberspace. We're all contributing to the cyberspace. So we all have to be aware. So if it's children using, their parents will have to be aware. They'll need to ensure that the children have to take permission. Of course, if a child of 10, if there is a mail or a message saying, oh, you're getting a free version of Minecraft because you play extremely well, he's not going to sit and think could it be a phishing software, could it be a ransomware? He's just going to install it on his machine. So that is why you need, as a parent, you need to have all of these protections thought about. You need a cyber security response plan for your own house to start with. Every organization and individual should be aware of the cyber threats and vulnerabilities. Every organization must have a cybersecurity team and adapt a cybersecurity framework, which we just spoke about. So there should be a team which can tell, okay, if such an incident happens, how do we prevent any such incident from happening? And if such an incident happens, how are we going to handle it? All of these should be the responsibility of the cybersecurity team. Anticipate and prepare for cyber attack. Do not think that, I've installed all of the malwares. I have used the best of the cloud infrastructure. Nobody can attack me. No. Cyber attackers are thinking, 10 times ahead of us. So you always anticipate an attack. Do not think that it's no way to be attacked. Anticipate it and prepare for it. If it doesn't happen, fine, well and good. But if it happens, you should know how to handle it. So a response to a cybersecurity incident should be planned. So if an incident happens, what are we going to do? How are we going to communicate? Who are we going to communicate with? All of these should be planned well in advance. All the cybersecurity incidents should be followed up. You don't say, okay, the cybersecurity incident happened, I solved it, and that's it. Now we can just look ahead and go. You never know, the next incident can be something worse. It can be a completely different form of attack, or the attackers might have found another vulnerability in your system while you are trying to fix this one. So all of these are going to be issues. I'll just take a pause here. I see a few people on the chat, asking questions perhaps. Not anyone plays well to know that they are pretending to doing a cyber attack in visible manner. Then how can we be able to know? Like I said, you wouldn't know that someone is attacking you. You just have to be prepared, because you can't look at a person and say this person might have COVID, so I will not. So what you do is you stay away. So you need to be prepared for the kind of things. You always anticipate an attack. While you are extremely secure, there are ways in which things can go wrong. There are loopholes in the system. There are vulnerabilities. So you'll have to be very, very careful. And that is why you need to have a response plan. And we'll look at it in detail now. So how do we prepare for a cybersecurity incident? So this is before. So there's no incident that's happened. I'm running an organization, or I'm even an individual. How am I going to prepare for a cybersecurity incident? First, conduct a criticality assessment for your organization. What can go wrong? Who's having access to what kind of information? How am I going to combat? What is the possible attacks that can happen on my machines? What sensitive information do I have that might be compromised? So conduct a criticality assessment for your organization. This is extremely important. And then you can carry out a cybersecurity threat analysis supported by realistic scenarios and rehearsals. So you have something called a red team and a blue team, which you will be learning if you are to do the cybersecurity course with us. So the red team and the blue team, what they do is they're basically two complementing teams. So the red team's duty is to try and find vulnerabilities and attack. The blue team's duty is to ensure that the entire organization system is completely secure, that there can be no attack. So the way they both work is hand in hand. The red team tries to break down the blue team tries to protect themselves from the red team. So in the process, the entire system that they build is secure. This is called, what the red team does is ethical hacking. They try and hack the system and try and find any and all vulnerabilities. And this is, again, extremely important for all of the organizations to have. And then consider the implications of people, process, and technology. So if an incident happens, how are they going to handle it? Who's supposed to report to whom? If I get a phishing mail, am I just going to delete it? Am I going to report it to somebody? Is that even a big thing that could have spread to everybody in the organization? How are we going to handle it? So the people, the process, the technology, all of it has to be considered. And if the organization needs, okay, we'll need multi-factor authentication for this, otherwise this is not going to work. Our passwords are very easily compromised. It is all like your name with your date of birth, so it can be compromised. So are we going to keep something of that sort, or are we going to have a process established for every new employee that's joining and everybody in the team? Are we going to decide on who's going to have access to what kind of information? All of these all of these come under considering implications for people, process, and technology. And then create an appropriate control environment. Like I said, plan the access, have multi-factor authentications, who can access it on phone, who can access it on the computers only, who only have virtual desktop access and not work on their own computers. All of these have to be planned. You have to control the environment. So if there is an attack, where it could have possibly happened from. And then review your state of readiness. So are you ready if in case a cyber attack happens? This is, again, irrespective of how small the organization or how big the organization is, this is extremely important. Start from individual. You have to see your readiness. Have you installed any, antivirus software? Have you installed anti-malware solutions on your phones, on your computers? Typically, what we tend to do is, we try to Google find a solution. There is an antivirus software. Sounds like it has great reviews and it's free of cost. Whereas, there is a McAfee antivirus software which costs money. So, let me download this. But you never know what is coming along with that. So, you being penny wise, pound foolish, if you get what I'm saying. So, review your state of readiness, irrespective of whether you're an individual or an organization. Make sure that you are ready for a cybersecurity incident to have an attack to happen, and have a response plan in mind. So responding to a cybersecurity incident. First, an incident has happened. So identify what is the incident. Like I said, it can be any, it can be a spyware, it can be a malware, it can be a ransomware, it could be a backdoor entry, it can be anything. So find out what kind of a cybersecurity incident has happened. Like I said, if it is a very, very small incident, you may not even know until many days, like the data breaches we just saw on the IBM's reports. It takes so long to even identify that a data breach has happened. So first, identify that a cyber attack has happened. And then define the objectives and investigate. So what kind of attack is this? What has happened? I mean, what data is compromised? What kind of information has been stolen? How is it going to impact us as an organization? All of these will come under investigating the situation, and then take appropriate action. Can I immediately arrest this attack? Can I provide any kind of immediate response? Can I immediately block, if there is one particular email ID that has been compromised? Can I just deactivate that email ID, and will that stop the problem? Can I find out solutions, take any appropriate action that is required for the kind of, so it all depends on the magnitude of the cyber attack incident, and what kind of losses are you facing? Are you facing data loss? Are you facing money loss? Are you facing data encryption? All of these you'll have to consider, and then take appropriate action for that. Recover the systems, the data, and the connectivity. So finally, it has happened, you've taken immediate action to stop it. Now, how do I recover? So can I just change the password blanket, change all of the passwords, and then restart my server, just take down my server for a few hours and take it up again? Or scale it? If it's on cloud, can I scale my server so such a thing doesn't happen? Because imagine something like a huge cloud repository. If there is an attack, so many of us have so many sensitive documents stored in the cloud. What happens to all of that? So if the entire cloud goes down, the immediate fear is like, oh my God, so what happened to my documents, right? So how long can you take down the system? All of these will need to be considered. So you have to have a plan to recover your systems, your data, and the connectivity. And then following up. Okay, so fantastic. We prepared for an incident. Despite all of our preparation, some cyber attack happened. We've responded to it. And for now, we've kind of, taken all of the precautionary steps. We've found a solution, and it is addressed right now. But what happens next? We have to investigate the incident more thoroughly. This is because you do not want any same kind or similar kind of an attack to happen in the near future. So just like how Zoom did, it started having multi-level authentication and everything of that sort, and trying to support all of the operating systems, irrespective of the old one, or basically that's called backward compatibility. Or if it is not backward compatible, it will tell, it will not even let you install Zoom on such machines. So something of that sort. So investigate the incident completely, so in future, at least you can combat some kind of incidents which are similar in nature. And then report the incident to the relevant stakeholders, like Zoom did. When Zoom was attacked, within less than 3 days, all of the Zoom users were communicated that the information has been breached, and the data has been breached, and such a thing has happened. So everybody, I think the whole world basically uninstalled Zoom for it till the Zoom had another release saying all of the security measures have been taken. There is a security patch available. Until then, nobody had Zoom on their machines. So basically, report the incident to all the relevant stakeholders. Whom all should you inform? If your bank is compromised, whom all should they inform? They have to inform all of their consumers, all of their customers. Otherwise, people are going to wonder, why was $1,000 spent out of my account when I did not even approve of it? I've not opened any phishing link. I've not done anything, but somehow, my bank was compromised and $1,000 has been taken out of my account. So how is this going to be addressed? So it is every organization's responsibility to communicate with the relevant stakeholders. And how are you going to communicate? Are you going to send them an SMS? Are you going to call them over and tell them? Are you going to send an email to them? And how are you going to communicate the further plans with them? All of these need to be planned. carry out a post-incident investigation review. So where have we addressed it possibly? Could it have been handled in a different way? Have we communicated the right way to all of the stakeholders? All of this, I mean, you need to prepare a report so next time such a thing happens, you are more prepared for handling such a situation. Communicate and build on the lessons learned. So anytime such a data breach happens, take for example, there's a brute force attack on an email. So there is some employee's email that's compromised. Emails are sent from that employee's email to some 10,000 people. So because you're using your Microsoft Outlook, it sensed that there is something wrong. It deactivated the account immediately and it stopped the attack. So what did we learn from this? Maybe the employee's email ID would not have been compromised if we had a policy of changing the password, say once in 3 months or once in 6 months. Or maybe if we had a multi-factor authentication, retina scan or a fingerprint scan, it would not have been compromised. So see what you've learned from such an incident and then build upon that. Include processes based on that. So update the key information, controls, and processes. Every time an attack happens, you'll have to learn from it. You have to improve your processes and controls because such an attack has happened. You never anticipated it for an attack to happen, but it happened. So how will you react upon it? Again, you can take the same COVID example itself. The first time, people are like, oh, nothing will happen. I'm always safe. I always wash my hands. But the second time, now you step out, you don't see anybody without a mask on. Everybody is wearing a mask. Everybody is very conscious because, we've seen how bad things can get. So update your processes. When you see, attacks and you know how to respond, update your processes. Now, in fact, most people have got the SpO2 devices at their houses. Most people have got an oxygen cylinder in their houses. So all of that is preparation, right? I mean, it is not that, you're very sure that you'll pick up COVID, but you just want to be prepared in case. It is the same case here as well. And then perform a trend analysis. A trend analysis is to evaluate some pattern. So is it the same kind of companies that are being targeted? Is it the same kind of individuals who are being targeted? Are they targeting, say, people who are less than 15 years of age, knowing that they are kind of playing this game? In fact, we were speaking about cryptojacking, right? The cryptojacking mainly happens mostly on the gaming computers because the processing speed is so much higher in such computers. They attack gaming computers. So what is the trend in these particular attacks? So you need to know that. So again, either you can kind of help prepare a report because of which others can be more careful, or it will be useful for you when any such attack happens in the future. So what steps should individuals take to effectively protect against cyber attacks? So we spoke about, how can organizations do, what are the processes that you need to follow and all that. Very simple. Like I said, it should all, charity begins at home. Cybersecurity also begins at home. So what do you do for that? Use strong PIN or password. Best is, things that are extremely personal, your retina scan, face recognition, fingerprint recognition, all of that are extremely safe. So if you can have multiple authentication, you should do that. Have an extremely typical bad passwords would be, your name and date of birth in the right order or in the reverse order, or your wedding anniversary date, because these are all information we give everywhere. I mean, you go to Lifestyle, they say, do you want a membership? You get a 10% discount. You are readily giving away your date of birth. So do not use all of this in such sensitive information. Have a very strong PIN or password. Back up all your data, because in case, like I said, a cyber attack happens, you need to be able to revive from it. So back up all your data in the cloud or in a secure external storage device. Disable the Wi-Fi, especially if it's public Wi-Fi. Please disable it. When you're outside, or it automatically connects and your data could be snooped into. And even Bluetooth, if you don't need it, just turn it off. Be careful about the applications that you download and the permissions you grant. This is one thing where most of us make mistakes. You see that this application has been downloaded by 4 million people. You're like, oh, this has to be safe. You just download. It asks you for permission. You don't even read through most of the times. You say, yeah, okay, granted. Allow it to use my camera, allow it to use my mic. You never know what information it's snooping into. So be very careful about the permissions that you grant. employ remote wiping software. So you should, if you are using a phone, you should know your IMEI number, your unique number for your phone. If you're using a laptop or a desktop, you should know your MAC address. You will have to employ a remote wiping software. So anytime, that particular device is opened and connected to the net, you can wipe the entire data on it. So, at least your data is safe with you. It doesn't get into the hands of any malicious attackers. So what can companies do for, such cyber attacks? Of course, secure your hardware, ensure that, your hardware is always 100% secure. All the software updates, patches, and everything is all updated. Ensure that's done. And if you can encrypt the data on your hardware, do that. If you can, better still, if you can afford to use the cyber infrastructure, please do that. Because on-premise, with every new version coming up, the investment goes up. You cannot afford to keep investing on on-premise infrastructure. So typically you tend to kind of stick with the, you're just kind of left to backlog. If I say invest $1 million in an on-premise structure, and next year there's a more sophisticated system that comes, you cannot just keep changing. So when you are on-premise, just figure out how to secure it, or better still, move to cloud infrastructure so you can just kind of keep scaling up. And like I said, encrypt and backup all your data. So that is why if you see in cloud infrastructure, they have backups. The cloud itself provides backups in multiple regions. So even if there is a natural disaster and all of the data is gone, you always have a backup for your data. And it is all in encrypted format, so only you have access to it. Encourage security-centered culture. So if it's an organization, all the employees should be aware that, cybersecurity is not something that, okay, I don't need to know about it. Only the team needs to know. It is not like that. Everybody should be aware. Everybody should go through, this password reset and multi-factor authentication and such things. Everybody should be aware. Nobody should be downloading software from anywhere and installing it on the machine, or connecting to, Telnet or FTP and connect and download software, download zip files and run it. All of these, they should have permissions that are set in each of the machines. And in fact, that's why the world is now moving towards virtual desktops. So all of these can be controlled. Use robust firewall and anti-malware solutions, and invest in cybersecurity insurance. This again is extremely important, because cybersecurity insurance helps you kind of recover when you have any such situation of big attacks. Okay. So how does moving to cloud? I mean, I'm just going to talk about Azure cloud, but pretty much all of the cloud service providers are very similar. So how does Azure provide? It's got an AI-based security and security information and event management. So if at all such a thing happens, it starts sensing, it's constantly searching for patterns. So if, like I said about a DDoS attack, when it went from 1 million to 1 billion, that's when it realizes, and after the system crashes. But if you have it on Azure cloud, it's got an AI-based system which can detect such anomalies in your networking, in your processes, in your storage, and everything way ahead of time. It can accelerate proactive threat hunting. So if there is a threat, if there is a possible attack that's happening, it can find out about it much ahead, because they have pre-built queries that can run on a timely manner, and these are done by people with many years of experience. So there is a quick remedial action that you can take. And the storage service encryption is offered for everybody on Azure. So like I said, one is, you have multiple copies of your data, and the other is all of this is encrypted, of course, at a fee, but what you'll be paying is negligible compared to what you might lose. So it encrypts all of the data, so nobody can, if at all, even in fact the edge devices, you have a IoT sensor, you have a camera sensor, which kind of keep scanning, and somebody is trying to hack it. The moment it sees an intruder, the entire data is wiped out or is encrypted, so there is no loss of data. So all such things are available with Azure cloud service. And zero trust security model with multi-factor authentication, which I said multiple times before. So zero trust is basically do not trust anybody. I mean, you can have an intruder inside, you can have an intruder outside, anybody can be an intruder. So zero trust, anybody and everybody who needs to access the information or resources will have to authenticate themselves. So 5 reasons why you need a cybersecurity program today. The cybercrime is at an all-time high, and it's only getting worse thanks to IoT and AI and analytics and all that also gaining traction. For all the organizations, it is important to protect sensitive information both internally and for the stakeholders. So it is not just for, I need to protect the reputation of my organization. You don't know by leaking out, like LinkedIn had a breach a few years back. You don't know what kind of information was leaked and how that information is going to be used. So it is extremely important for all the organizations to protect this information. Preparing for a cyber attack before it happens is imperative to all the organizations and individuals. Again, this also, we spoke enough about it. While you can hope for no attacks to happen, you should also anticipate. You should prepare. This is called assume compromise. So you can assume that you may be compromised and always be prepared for that. Cybercrime can damage your reputation and cause financial losses. Again, this is also for individuals and organizations. For organizations, of course, the loss is much higher. So this can also happen. And cybersecurity plan will help prepare the organizations for compliance, investigations, and client audits. So these days, even if a client has to pick an organization to provide a particular service, they are quite concerned about the kind of cybersecurity they can provide in their, their software as a service, or their product itself. If their clients find that there is no cybersecurity practice or process or control that's involved, they don't even want to invest. So you are losing a big business opportunity out there. So let's look at some demands of the cybersecurity skills. Okay, this is from Forbes, November 2020. So these are the top, IT cybersecurity skills and their projected growth in 5 years. So your application development security, cloud security, risk management, threat intelligence, incident response, compliance and controls, data privacy and security, access management, security strategy and governance, health information security. All of these are the top skills that's wanted in today's, of course, this is a global, skill shortage that's there. And this growth is, 5-year projected growth globally, not just in India. But if you look at India, this is a report from NASSCOM itself. There are so many openings, but lack of skilled professionals in cybersecurity. You don't have enough trained people in cybersecurity to create the cybersecurity team. So there are about 53,000 openings, and this was prepared by NASSCOM itself. So you can see the kind of gap that we have. 53,000 openings, not enough people, and look at the distribution. So this is neutral. This is like IT companies, IT-enabled service givers who are looking for cybersecurity professionals, and these are specifically OEMs that are looking, the original equipment manufacturers. So this is the kind of demand for cybersecurity. So this is the hottest career at this point of time, given the way the world is evolving. And what is offered in the Skill Up Online's Foundations of Cybersecurity program? Let's take a quick look at that. We start with enterprise security fundamentals, we start with very, very basic. So all that you need to know is some basic maths and basic computers. You should just be an end user of a computer. That is all that is required, and you can enroll into this course. And we'll start with how to connect to how a LAN is connected, and what is a router, what is accessing the router, what is password, what is authentication. We start from that much of basics. So your enterprise security fundamentals will take you through the networking fundamentals, the cyber landscape, and the red team and the blue team that we spoke about, and the CIA triad, which is confidentiality, integrity, and availability, which is also another cyber security framework. And then you move on to threat detection, planning for a secure enterprise. So what kind of a threat landscape do you have? What should we anticipate? What is done pre-breach? What is done post-breach? How do you mitigate such threats? Combating the threat persistence. All of that will be covered in this module. Planning a security incident response. Like I said, this is one of the most important aspects of a cybersecurity specialist. You'll need to know if an attack happens, how are we going to handle? How are we going to respond? This needs to be completely planned out for all of the organizations. Otherwise, there is no time to react. After the incident happens, there is no time to react. So you need to know, whom should we report to, what should be the immediate plan of action. You need to have so much of processes established for your companies. And then you learn how to use the PowerShell security best practices. So how to use PowerShell and what are the best practices on PowerShell is something that you'll be learning. The vulnerabilities and how to implement security there, mitigating any kind of exploitation, any vulnerability in PowerShell. All of that is covered here. And then we teach you how to manage identity. Like we said, in Azure, you can enable multi-factor authentication. So identity access management is a big concept in all of the cloud platforms, I would say. And we'll learn about it based on Azure and how to manage how the IAM, identity access management, is established in Azure. And then we have securing data in Azure and SQL Server. So like I said, how to encrypt, how to decrypt, how to have selective access to data, all of that will be covered in this chapter. And then we'll talk about the Windows 10 security features and the Windows Server 2016 security features. And all of this will kind of prepare you to quite an extent for to be a part of a cybersecurity team. And finally, we'll cover Microsoft Azure Security Services, which is pretty much, which will cover all of these basics and how to be secure in the cloud. Once you move from, on-premise to cloud, how are you going to keep, is private cloud better or public cloud better or a hybrid better? How are you going to secure? What data are you going to secure? All of that will be covered in this. And this course is one of the most sought after courses. And we have, the previous learners of this course have been placed into globally, top-notch companies, and they've been absorbed into the cybersecurity teams of these companies. This is one of the most, like I said, career-wise, it's a very luring course, and I would recommend anybody who wants to get into cybersecurity to kind of take this. If I have time, I'll take you to this, the course itself and show you. But this course, like I said, has seen a lot of acceptance from the industry. And this course is now aligned to the NOS, the NASSCOM's curriculum. And it is also eligible for the Government of India incentive. I will request Amrita to speak about it and tell from...
Thank you so much, Lavanya. That was great. I was extremely interested and it was highly engaging. And yes, you are right. The Foundations of Cybersecurity is a very popular program. And now the Government of India has also decided to fund the ambition of the learners by providing incentives up to 14,500. So because it's got quite a few details, what I will do is I will share my screen and my video, which will give you a better information on this.
FutureSkills Prime, making digital skilling affordable. Modeled as a public-private partnership, FutureSkills Prime aims to position India as a digital talent nation. Join the skilling revolution with over 4 lakh existing learners to enhance your employability and become digitally fluent.
To motivate and support the learners, FutureSkills Prime platform offers first of its kind incentive program for digital upskilling. The program offers foundation, bridge and deep skilling courses across technologies, including AI, IoT, big data analytics, cloud computing, cybersecurity, etc. The government will now directly fund the ambitions of eligible learners, enabling them to navigate careers in these fascinating technology domains. While the platform offers numerous industry handpicked courses and pathways, many of them are free of cost. This incentive program will help candidates upskill in the paid technical courses while earning reimbursement on completion. An eligible individual can get up to Rs 14,500 as reimbursement.
Earn Government of India sponsored incentives on in-demand industry skill courses you learn on the platform. Additionally, with eligibility criteria being simple, allows a wide gamut of learners to avail its benefits. Past the challenges with online education, choose affordable learning with a variety of content at FutureSkills Prime. Just log in on the platform, register yourself, take the course, pass the assessment, and apply for Government of India incentives. Backed by the firm support of our partners, we smooth the way to your professional growth. Be a part of the skilling revolution and take your career to new heights.
So thank you so much, Lavanya. That was great. Now, if you find some good questions that you would like to address, I will be sharing details of the course, which I've done once already, the platform, as well as incentives on the chat.
Okay, before that, I just wanted the learners to kind of log into one of the websites. Can I just share my screen for a minute, please?
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so to check if your email address or your mobile numbers have been pawned, it has been compromised. There has been a data breach with your email ID or your phone numbers. You can check on this website. This is called haveibeenpawned.com. Have HAVEIBEEN PW stands for password, NED pawn.com. It's a free website. It's developed by Troy Hunt, Microsoft Regional Director and one of the most valuable professional awardee for developer security. This is in fact one of the recommended websites in UK and in Australia to check if your data has been compromised. I would definitely recommend all of you to kind of go into this and see. I mean, when I looked at mine, I always thought I had highly encrypted password. Nobody can kind of crack it, and no details can ever be shared. I'm very private about my email, but then after I realized how many places it had been compromised on, including LinkedIn and Domino's Pizza and everything, when you're trying to order food on Swiggy or Zomato, you don't even realize maybe your data is being breached, but it has happened. So I would 100% recommend all of you to try this. I will also perhaps share the link here on chat with you all. Just give me a second. So try this and you'll know if you've been compromised, if you've been data breached. And let me just stop my screen share and just a second, please. I would like to take you through a small cybersecurity quiz. It's just a knowledge check. There are no prizes, no nothing, but it's just a quick game. You can play this either on your laptop or on your phone, but you need you need two devices because you look at the questions on one device and play it on another device. Let me just start it. So the way you do it is you need Kahoot for this. You go to kahoot.com and I'll give you the pin. You just enter the pin. This is just going to take 5 minutes of your time. So go to kahoot.it and enter this game pin. The questions will be displayed on the computer screen and you can answer from phones. It's just very, very, very basic level of questions. This is something which, everyone from a 3-year-old to a 80-year-old should know. But it's fun. If you joining from your laptops, ensure that you have two windows open so you can see the question on one and answer on the other. And again, reiterating, you'll need two devices to take this one up. We'll start once we have 50 players. And we have 50. Let's start, and others can join in as and when you want. So some basic questions on cybersecurity, most of which you should be able to answer. Which of these is a good practice for individuals' devices, which is your laptops, your phones, and everything? So choose one of the four colors that you see on your phone. "33 of you have given the right answer. Like I said time and again during the session, it's multi-factor authentication. That is extremely important. Setting up your birthday as a password, you may think it's unique, but it is not. Anybody who's got access to your Facebook or Insta account will know it. Turn off the phone is never going to be possible in today's world. And using public Wi-Fi is a big no-no. Let's look at who's leading the answers. Kyle is leading, and Adi is second, and Ankur is in the third place. Let's go to the next one. It's a poll, it's not a quiz. So there's no one right answer, but this is more to do with what you think is the right answer. Which of these is the best approach? Are you able to see the question? Which of these is the best approach to handle a suspicious email? Delete it immediately. Fantastic. 28 people have given the right answer. You mark it as a spam, delete it, and also report it to the IT security. And this, like I said, is a process of incident response. This is an incident. When you get a spam mail, that is an incident. How do you respond to such? So cyber security incident is not just one incident. There can be many kinds of cyber security incidents. Like I said, from the smallest one being receiving a mail to the biggest one being complete data breach. So you have to know how to handle each of the situations. So that is again a part of the cybersecurity specialist's role. Next is a true or false. There is an SMS from BNHTFC as per the message that you'll see, as per the image. Is this genuine, or do you think this is a spam? True if it's genuine, false if you think it's a spam. 43 if you think, yeah, that's the sanest answer. This is definitely not a big no-no. Even if it looks quite authentic, it is always better to log into your bank account and check the transactions, or call your bank and check. Never open any link which comes this way. Adi is now leading. Red Fonda is the second, and Ankur in the third position. Let's look at the next question. The penultimate. Cybersecurity is important only for big organizations which use cloud services. Is that true or false? Three seconds to go. 2, 1, 0. 48 of you gave the right answer. 7 of you gave the wrong answer. I mean, that's what we've been discussing over and over again. Cybersecurity, like charity, begins at home, including individuals, kids, parents, grandparents. Everybody should be aware of cyber attacks and cyber threats. 24 players have reached an answer streak of 3. That's fantastic. Adi is still in the lead. Ankur is in the second place. Red Panda has moved to the third place. Let's see the last question now. What does multi-factor authentication mean? Forty-nine of you have given the right answer. 4 of you said setting a password, which is a factor of more than one number. That was fun. Okay. Try that next time for your own devices. Let's see how that works. Let's look at the podium. 4 out of 4. Ankur, fantastic. And Red Panda in second place. And I think Adi will be in the first place, going by history. Adi is in the first place. Fantastic. That was a quick and short test. Runners up are Hunter and Chandu, fantastic winners. Sorry, no prizes, but very well done. I am just going to take you to the website of the course. Just give me a second. Please confirm if you can still see it. This link will be sent to you over an email as well. So this course is available to you through the FutureSkills Prime. Unlike Amrita said, this is eligible for the Government of India incentive. And the way the incentive works is you take the course and then you clear the SSC exam, which is conducted by NASSCOM. And that basically kind of certifies to the industry that you are a cybersecurity specialist. And that's how, all of our students in the past have kind of completed the course and have been absorbed by the top-notch companies, in India and globally. So I would highly recommend this, and all of this course fees in that such a case would be waived off for you. It would be refunded by the Government of India after you clear the SSC exam. So you can go and look at the details of this course in our website. What's the eligibility criteria and what's there in each of the course, each of the modules. All of the details are available on the Skill Up website. You may go and look at it. And if you have any other questions, you may ask now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lavanya. This was great. It's amazing. We will be sharing the link for the recording of this session also with the attendees. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Amrita. Let me try and answer a few questions quickly while we have about 5 minutes. Pankaj Jarial, you're saying you're watching the movie Genius at this time. Yes, wish you a good time watching the movie. How many months will this take? So the entire duration, including your labs and videos and exercises and everything, is about 45 hours. So, if you are ready to spend 5 hours a day, you'll finish it in 9 days. That's humanly, I wouldn't say it's impossible, but yeah, what we'll encourage is at least, spend 5 to 10 hours a week, depending upon how much time you have for other activities. And that's 5 hours is good enough a week. So you can finish it over 9 weeks. How many percent to getting job? I don't quite get your question. So if you are talking about the passing percentage, if you get a 70%, you pass this course. And after that, you take up the exam, the SSC exam, and you clear the exam. Then if you do this course completely, you'll be able to clear the exam without any issues at all. And once you clear it, you get a certificate and you become completely eligible for a job. Why this government incentive is not available for IT students? It is available for all. It is available for all Indian citizens who are members of FutureSkills Prime. So it is not restricted to anybody. As long as you're a citizen of India and you are enrolled into FutureSkills Prime, you are eligible for it. You just need to, like I said, take the course and clear the SSC exam. That's about it. Okay, I think the rest are all Oh, sorry, someone said they can't see the questions. Like I said, you needed 2 devices to see the questions. I'm very sorry about it. Is it a paid course? Yes, as you saw, the course fee is 8,400. But once you complete the course and pass the exam, the entire thing will be refunded. Like I said, the course is eligible for Government of India incentive. So the government itself is giving a big push in making learners like you learn cybersecurity, and they have a big push for cybersecurity itself because cyber crime incidents in the last year has increased tremendously. Just in 2020, there were about 11,58,208 cybersecurity incidents that were reported. So the government of India is giving a big push, and this is one of the most sought after skills. And it's one of the first courses which have become eligible for the Government of India incentive. So there is no reason to say no for this. I tried to register for incentive program, but got the message that you're not eligible for this program. You can get in touch with FutureSkills Prime. They can, NASCOM will guide you in the process. The SSC exam is not available yet for the course, but it will be shortly eligible. And anybody and everybody who are registering for this course will be eligible as long as you're a citizen of India and you have not availed of this incentive before. Is it a live session course or recorded? It's a recorded session, but you will have live help from our course mentors. So you have highly trained course mentors in cybersecurity on our platform. So any questions that you ask will be addressed within 24 hours. Course link will be sent to you by NASCOM itself, and you'll also get an email with the course link, so you always have a record of it. Is there a minimum age? Well, that question is for Amrita. Amrita, is there a minimum age to avail this discount?
FutureSkills Prime program is open to all Indian citizens above the age of 18.
Okay, all right. Will we get jobs through FutureSkills Prime? No, I mean, a lot of companies are empaneled with NASCOM, and a certificate from NASCOM actually holds a lot of weightage, and that's why you'll be eligible to get jobs in the top-notch companies.
However, there are some opportunities for internship with the industry presently available on the platform. That is one. And we are looking at providing employment opportunities as well. That is in the works and will take a little time. I think that's just enough time for you to take the course, get yourself certified, and be ready.
That's right. Is this a discounted price? This is the listed price for the course, KV. And if you think about it, it's cheaper than...
It's actually discounted, I think, Lavanya, because all courses on FutureSkills Prime come after a certain degree of discount on the platform itself. So we are giving you the minimum possible that we could do already.
All right. And if you go to this bit.ly link that's shared, you'll be able to link to the course from there. Are the trainers themselves eligible for this incentive? The trainers themselves, as in, I mean, if you are a trainer in some other company, is that what you're asking? Yeah, I mean, as long as you take the course and you clear the exam, anybody and everybody is eligible.
Any working professional is eligible.
That's a quick...
Yeah, so the thing is, you have to first take the course, you have to take the exam, and incentive means that you will be paid back by the Government of India. However, you will have to take and pay for it first to begin with. So that's to ensure that we have all serious learners take advantage of this program. Thank you so much, Lavanya. I think this was an amazing session. Thank you once again.
Thanks, Amrita.
Thank you, everybody, who has joined us today. Thank you so much.
Yeah.